Hi everyone. So very good morning and good evening. Just a minute. We'll start the session. Let me share my screen. Okay, guys. So in last session, what we have discussed. So we discussed about how to work with the streams, right? So what is the purpose of that? We saw that how to capture the data. So now, when we are working with like time travel implementation, so we saw the terminology called clone implementation, cloning cloning, right? Or we will call it as a zero copy cloning also. Zero copy cloning. So before going to this, so let me tell you one example, then we can understand exactly why copy cloning is required. Why we are using cloning. It's nothing but creating another duplicate table or database or any schema. If you are cloning means nothing but so you are creating another copy. You are going to create a another copy. That is nothing but a cloning. But so there is a advantage here. So generally, so we have, let's assume that we have a emp table. Okay, so now if you wanted to like work on this particular table, so are you going to, this is so original table, let's assume that. And if you wanted to do some changes, or if you wanted to do some R&D on this particular table, so you are not going to directly implement everything on this table, right? So what you will do is we are going to create another copy, right? Like a backup. You are going to work on this table. To do that, what you will do generally, for example, you are going to use create table, table copy emp, for example emp or emp backup, as you will use select star from emp, right? This is what we are going to do. So when you are wanted to create a same copy of a table, right? So we will use as select star from. In this particular scenario, what will happen here? In emp table, if it contains 1 GB of the data, this particular emp backup table also, after you created like this one also, it will be occupied 1 GB of the data, right? Means it is a, we are maintaining another copy along with the data. The storage also occupied for this particular table. But in case of clone keyword, when you use a clone keyword here, what is going to happen is it will create another copy, but clone will not occupy any storage. It won't occupy any storage. But so what about the later changes? For example, let's say a simple thing. You have your, in your laptop, you have your CV or your resume. So in your CV, so it is occupying 100 MB. Let's assume that you wanted to do some changes on this particular CV. You wanted to add some roles and responsibilities, additional points. When you are adding, what you will do, you will not do on this particular one. You are going to create a new copy, CV underscore, for example, update. You will create a new copy. You will copy that, right? And you will copy that, for example, this is available in E drive. Let's assume that this one you have copied to D drive. And so this one also it is going to occupy 100 MB, right? Now this is your original copy. This is your, so you are going to updated one. The one you copied, this is also occupied 100 MB. Now later on, after you have copied, sorry, if you are doing some changes on this particular CV underscore update, Is this going to impact on this? It won't be, right? It won't impact. If you are doing some additional changes here, it is not going to impact on this one. The same way, if you do some changes for the original one, it is not going to impact on the copied one, right? It means once after copied, at the time of copied only, it is going to copy the whole content. After that, both will become individual. If you are doing some sorry, changes here, it is not going to impact on this. If you are doing some changes here, it is not going to impact on this. Correct, right? The same way here also, when you are using copy cloning, it is not going to impact, but here both will occupy storage. But when you use a zero copy cloning option, so for your Snowflake, when you are creating a new table or new database, whatever it may be, it is not going to occupy storage. But how come it will have a data? Logically, it will be available. Physically, it is not. So it means if you observe here, what it will do is in the back end, it is going to clone the object. Now this is a original one. This is original one. You have cloned one. So this is a cloned one. When you cloned, so it will not have any physical storage. Always when you are doing, when you wanted to pick some data from a cloned one, always it is going to point out the old table storage only. For example, okay, we have copied the content. Later on, if you do some changes, whatever the changes you are doing here, the cloned one, it is not going to applicable here. So those changes, if you observe this, the changes colored one, that's only this is the changes. For that particular change, the storage will be occupied for this cloned one, only for this. So for example, there is some so questions like, for example, if I drop this after cloning, complete storage will be transferred to the cloned one. Complete storage before dropping, it will check whether we have any cloned object for this. If yes, then complete storage will be occupied. Then what will happen? The complete storage will be with this particular cloned one only. If you do any changes, still if you have original one, then only for the changes only the cloned one will have the storage. Now if you observe, so why we are going to use this? You can use it for snapshot, nothing but so to take a backup, right, of a database or schema or a table. And when we clone, what will happen is it is going to share micro partitions. It will be shared. Micro partitions will be shared. Nothing but micro partition is a how the data is going to store in our Snowflake. We will call it as micro partition. We will come to this particular topic in the next sessions when we are discussing about storage, how the storage will work here in the backend. So it will store micro partition in the form of files. This one will be shared. So micro partition is owned by, see this one, oldest database. Oldest database means nothing but this particular table or database, old table, original one. And then clone one, always it references them. Always it is going to reference them. So no additional storage cost. See this one, we don't require any additional storage cost until until the changes are going to made to the original table or clone table, right? If you do some changes to the original table, this is not going to impact on this one, right? So if you want that particular same changes, again you need to do the changes here. When you do the changes, the changes storage will be applicable for this, right? So oftenly we will use it for quickly spin up dev or test environments for the backup option. For example, here if you observe what it mean by that dev or test environments, any organization, right, we will have, when you are working in a project, you will have three environments, right? For example, development environment, and then QA or test environment, and then production environment, right? Here, how they are going to maintain. If you observe our Snowflake account, this is our account, right? The complete account, we can assume that this is the completely as a dev environment. So sometimes what will happen is, if you want separate thing for a testing, you can create a separate database for a testing in same account. So generally, if you want account, separate account to be maintained for a another environment, they are going to maintain a separate account for a production environment most of the time. So some of the cases, so the project dev and QA will be in one account, and then so production will be in another account. It depends on the project and then client. Now, if you observe, we have a class database. Let's assume that same database. So we wanted to give access to the test users. We won't give this particular complete database to the test users access. What we will do, we will create another database, same copy, whatever is available here, we will keep it in another database. Then we will give that access to the testers. Then what they will do, they will going to do some testing on that particular database. It is not going to impact on the original one, right? When you clone database, whatever the thing it is available, objects, and then everything, whatever we have created, like streams, and then tasks, and then like pipes, pipes we didn't discuss. Going forward, we will discuss, and everything, whatever we have created here, everything will be cloned other than your temporary table, other than
Din-
temporary table. Remaining
Can
everything will be cloned.
Dinesh, can we create or can we clone a database from one account to another account?
One account to another account, that is not possible. So within the account, we can able to clone.
Okay.
Okay. So in one account to another account means there is a option for data sharing implementation. Okay, we will come to that. Okay. So now, if you observe this, so this is one of the certification question. If you clone complete database, we cannot able to clone temporary tables. So what is the purpose of generally when you create a temporary tables? Temporary tables are going to create only for a particular session, right? So when you created only for a session, then what is the meaning of cloning? So this particular thing to the another database, right? That's why other than temporary table, remaining everything, whatever it is available, like schemas and then tasks and then streams and everything, whatever you have created here, everything will be cloned along with this database. Now, if you observe here, so let's observe this. What we'll do is I will create a temporary table here, and then let's see whether we can able to clone it or not. Now, see this one, we are in class and then public database. So let's create it temporary table here. So because we don't have any temporary table, we have a transient, we have a permanent. So let's create temporary table, and then let's insert some data into this. You will have a data, and then temporary table is available. Now observe this one, temporary table is available. Now, so when you are going to clone this particular database, what you will do is, for example, let's assume for the test purpose, we are going to create. So when you are creating a database, for example, create database as underscore test. So see this one, just I am using keyword called clone. From which one we have to clone? We have to clone it from, we have to clone just clone it from this particular database. So clone it from, so this, so which one it is? It is a class database. From the class database, we have to clone. Now, so if you give class, this is a database. So we are giving a keyword called create database name, and this database has to clone from this particular one, right? Now, observe this. Sorry. Now it is going to create a complete clone. So for the complete database, along with schemas, and then along with the tables, and then all the other objects. Now observe this. Directly it has connected to class test database and public schema. If you observe, refresh it here. See this, it's very quick, right? Class test, you can able to see this. And for this particular database access, you can give it to the specific roles. We will create customized roles here. This particular topic we are going to discuss in the next sessions. So next session, so customized roles here. So here you can able to see all these roles, right? But when you are working in organization, you will not able to see all these roles. It will be customized roles based on your user, based on your user and then role. Now when you come to that, if you are a tester, then they will have access to only this one. If you are a developer, you will have access to this one, right? So these all the things is available, right? So 1 second guys, please. Sorry guys. Okay, so now, so let's
Yeah.
come to this one.
Dinesh,
So
sorry to disturb. There is a ribbon on the top. Enjoy free trial. Can you close that one?
mm,
Actually, the left side. Go to
yeah,
left
sorry.
side. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So now if you observe, so this one, so let's observe this. So we have done this, right? If you observe here, this one, the cloned one, you can able to see all the schemas, and then so everything is available, right? At the same time, if you observe, see this one, show tasks, will be cloned, and then show streams, you will have everything, right? So these things is available now. But if you observe the temporary table which you have created, see this one, temporary table didn't clone. This is one of your certification question. By default, temporary table will not be cloned. So if you wanted to clone separately, you have to clone. Individually you have to clone, that is possible, but along with the database if you try, it won't work. Individually if you try, you can able to clone that one. So it means, for example, see this one, we are going to create a table temporary, right? So new, for example, temp clone from where you need to clone one database to another database. Now we are in this particular class tester database where the temporary table is available in, see this one, in this particular database here, right? This is a temporary table. So let's come to this. Okay, see this one, from this, so you need to specify the complete thing, so from where you have to clone. Then what will happen, this temporary table, it will be cloned into this particular temporary table. This is possible. This what we are doing individually. We are trying to do it for the specifically. So just a minute. Cloning from this one. Now observe this one. The table has been created. Now if you observe, so here you can able to see the clone, the temporary table. New underscore temp. See this, right? What we have done here, along with the database, along with the schema, if you try, temporary table will not be cloned. So if you try, if you wanted to individually, if you wanted to try, then that is possible. Individually, you can able to clone. So whatever the temporary table, for example, so some users has created some temporary tables. Maybe you don't require all the temporary tables to the another database when you are cloning. Then what you need to do, whatever it is required, then you can able to do it in this way. But you need to give the complete so address of the particular table. So in which schema it is available, which database it is available. Right? Clear, right? So now one thing. Once it is cloned, now we are in a class test data database. If you do any changes for this, like a original one or cloned one, it is not going to impact on this particular one. It is not going to impact on this one. Let's say in a clone, now we are in cloned database, class test database. And here, if you observe, we have around so 12 rows, right? If I do any changes for this is not going to impact on the original one. If I do any changes there, it is not going to impact on here. So let's say, for example, here what I am doing is delete from emp, where I will take employee ID equal to 01. Now observe this one. So number of rows deleted is 3, right? 3 has been so deleted. So we can so this one. So if you refresh it here, you can able to see the changes here only in clone one. So you see this totally 9. Previously it is 12. But if you observe this here in the original one, there is no impact on this because both are individual. Both are individual. This is fine. Now, so if you observe, okay, the same way, if you drop here, so the table or anything, it is not going to impact on this. If you drop here, so then what will happen, whatever the thing you have dropped, if it is cloned here, so then that particular storage will be transferred, but the table, so and everything, so there is no impact. Storage will be transferred. But how we will understand whether it is cloned one or whether it is original one? If you observe class test or naming convention with the clone underscore test, class underscore clone, then we can understand. But if you observe this cloned one, see this one, do you have any information here? Nothing, right? This is so nothing. We don't have any information here. So, but let's say if you observe show tables also, we cannot able to see any information. So whether it is a cloned one or original one. See this one. So we have the class, so database name, schema name, and then so we will have, so see this kind. So we have that information, that's it. But we don't have any other information related to cloned one here. Then, so how you will understand whether it is a cloned one or not? To understand that, so we have that, so cloned information schema we can able to understand. From information schema, so storage metrics, we can able to understand whether it is a cloned one or not, right? So let's observe this, so particular one, so where you can able to see that. So this is the syntax for that from information schema. Observe this. For example, let's take emp table itself. Emp table. and then this is class database will take from the public. Now, if you observe, see this one, we are getting it from this information schema, storage metrics, and then from this particular database, and then for this particular schema, and see this one. If you observe here, what you observed, table name, and then mainly observe these two things, ID, cloned group ID. What is ID here? 1026. What is cloned group ID? 1026. And then what about the active bytes? Active bytes 2048. Just observe this one. Active bytes is 2048. So now, so we have both the things, right? ID and then clone group ID, and at the same time, so we have active bytes here, right? So now, so let's observe this one. So here ID and then clone group ID both are similar, both are same, right? If the both are same, then we can consider that this is a original one. This is original one. This is not cloned from anything, right? This is not cloned from any other ID, right? And then active bytes is available means it is occupying storage. It is occupying storage. The same thing if you observe for another schema, another sorry database, class underscore test database, in this particular database, in this particular table. So see here, before going to that, 1026 both are same, ID, clone group ID both are same, and then active bytes we have. Now observe this one. When you go to this information, what you would understand, see this, so ID is different, clone group ID is different. So 1026 is the previous clone group ID. This 17419 ID is cloned from this particular specific ID, this particular specific ID. Then you can understand that this is cloned one, this is cloned from this particular ID, right? We can understand this information. And if you observe, active bytes is 0. See this one, active bytes is 0. So by seeing this, we can able to understand whether it is a cloned or not. To understand easily, what you will do is, when you are working, when you are creating any cloned object, we will give the like a keyword called, so underscore table underscore clone or table underscore clcn. So just, so it's a syntax, okay? Cloned one, we can understand that by seeing that itself. Instead of going to this table and then checking, we can directly by seeing the name itself. So for example, if it is emp underscore so cn or cl, whatever it may be, then we can understand the naming convention we will maintain for every cloned one. So we have to follow as per the so project rules. So every, for example, somewhere they will mention that, so in the documentation you need to follow for every cloned one, you need to mention the syntax, the after the name, after the database you have to give cl, then we will understand it is a cloned one, right? So that is the thing. Okay, this is fine. Now if you come to like this clone, where and all we can able to use, we can able to clone by using this particular option to create another table. At the same time, we can able to use it for the time travel also. Time travel, if you observe what we have done, we have created, if you wanted to restore the data for any specific period of time, what we can able to do, we can use select star from, so at timestamp, and then we will give the specific time period, right? So if you wanted to like create a separate table for that particular data, what you can do, create a table, restore table name, we can use clone option here. Instead of so using select star from table at the timestamp, if you use, both will occupy storage. Instead of that, when you use this, so for just for the temporary purpose, right? So then we can use here also clone option. Then what will happen? This restore table will not occupy any storage, right? The same thing. So if you wanted to create a restore particular schema or restore particular database, whatever it may be, you can implement a clone. So based on your timestamp or based on your query ID. So you can, so just so have a So look into this and then practice the same thing, right? Just you can use a clone option. So when you are creating a addition another table, or when you are creating a database or schema, or you can when you are using a like a time travel option also, you can use a clone option. Very useful, especially to like storage, right? To avoid unnecessary storage, right? We can able to save the storage cost. This is one thing. Another thing, when it is coming to, so we have a kind of swap option here. Okay, so this is very like useful here. So what is the purpose of this? You can swap the database and you can swap the schema, you can swap the table also. Let's say, so when it is coming to swap, right? For example, I will use alter table EMP swap with, so employee. I have given this. Then, so what is going to be happen here when you are using this particular swap option? So for example, see here, this we have two tables, right? One is EMP table. In EMP table, if you observe how many columns we have, five columns, right? Five columns. And then, so how many rows we have? Nine rows, right? Nine rows we have. Now, employee table. Employee table. Now, when it is coming to employee table, three columns, right? Three columns we have, and then here we have around 10 rows in the employee table. 10 rows. Now, so let's say this particular situation swap option, we are going to work most of the time when you are like the working with a backup and when you are doing the renaming the changes. We will use the swap option. What will happen is the complete table, it will be assigned to this one. This particular thing will be assigned to this one. It means table exchange. Table names will be exchanged. When we are going to use this, let's see this scenario here. For example, we have a table in a, let's assume that, so PR table. Okay. Now we wanted to do some changes for this. When the your like manager asks to do some changes for this particular table, what you will do? You have to, right, create so another backup table, right? So what is the first step? You will create so backup table with the name of mp underscore pr underscore backup before doing changes for this, right? Or you will create like this, and so second step is you are going to implement changes. You are going to implement changes on this particular table, changes on this particular backup table. Original table, you will keep it like that only, right? You will do the changes. For example, if you have done any mistakes, then you will not have your original data. That's why we will create another backup table. You are going to do the changes on this. Once it is done, you will ask your like a lead or the testers to validate on this particular table, right? So you will ask them to validate. Once they have validated, now whatever the changes you have done, let's assume some updates you have done on this particular table based on the requirement. So after these particular changes, after your validation is done, now whatever the changes you have done, this changes has to be applicable for this particular table. What you will do? So instead of like again doing the changes here, you are going to like rename the tables. You can able to rename the tables, right? If you wanted to rename the tables, what you have to do? So already, so with the table name, if it is available, this table you cannot rename with this particular table name, right? Again, the original EMPPR table, so you need to rename it with another name, right? PPR underscore new underscore backup, right? Or with the date you will give. The next step will be you are going to rename this table name backup to so EMP, right? These are the steps we need to follow. right? So now the table with the along with the changes, it came here. Now backup table again, if you wanted to like keep it as a backup, let it be. Otherwise, you wanted to remove this and then you wanted to keep it as a backup with some different name, you will rename it whatever it may be. It's up to us. All right. Now, so these many steps we have done. So you are going to rename it and then so multiple times you wanted to rename and then you wanted to like do the changes, right? So instead of this, so we have a so swap option. Instead of following all these steps, we can simply use, sorry, swap option here. When you are using swap, right, it is going to completely it is going to exchange the table names. So instead of renaming directly in one shot, we can able to do that. Now
Only
observe this.
4 and 5 can be
Mm,
reduced with swap, not
yes,
all.
exactly. Now observe this one. So this one, alter table, EMP, swap with employee. This particular table name, whatever EMP is available, it will be transferred to this, and then employee will be transferred to this one. So now, if you do the clone, same thing you can do it for the schemas also and database also. So now it's done. If I refresh it here, see this one, employee. Now EMP table, it contains 3 columns. This has been assigned to this one, right? This has been assigned to this one, right? In employee, if you observe, see this one. So 9 rows and then 5 columns, right? This has been assigned to this one. If I try to do it one more time here, if you do one more time, let's observe this. I'm doing one more time here. One more time, let's run this. Again, we have done. Refresh it here. Now observe this one. It came to the original one, right? Like this, if you wanted to do the like the renaming the table names, so we can simply you can able to use this the swap option. And so this one, so once it is like the cloning is implemented, right? So the main intention behind this is, so we are going to avoid unnecessary storage in Snowflake. Unnecessary because for the storage also, we are going to pay it to the Snowflake. So if you observe, see this one, the further storage, whatever we are going to storage, it will be calculated. And end of the day, it is going to like see this one, how many credits it has been used, and then along with the storage. So 25, so point, so something 9 KB. So we have utilized so till now in that particular storage. Based on this, the storage, so the charges will be applicable always. That's why we have to the careful when we are working with the any kind of this kind of clone implementation. All right, this is the concept of cloning, guys. Now let's come to the questions. Just a minute. Cloning can be done across different accounts. Not possible, or different accounts not possible. Different accounts means, as I said, it has to be work with data sharing implementation. That is the answer. Yeah. Any user can use clone the objects, DB schema, or any restriction. Any user can able to do it, Kiran, but so he should have the permissions on a table. So here, so this is a default, right? Default like a user, we have created default role, right? Which it has been assigned to the user. So when you are working, so every user will not have access to all the databases. It depends. So which database you have a access, right? Those things only you can able to perform. Other things you cannot able to. Okay, that we will see that in role-based access control. You can understand how to give the access to the specific users or specific roles. Yeah. After we make some changes to the clone database, like adding the data and deleting data, active bytes will be 0 or some value. After we make some changes to cloned database, okay, adding or deleting. Yeah, then active bytes will be added to some values because you are going to do implement some new changes, right? Then always it will have the storage. New
Okay.
changes will be there. If it is cloned from other one, then you won't have anything. Any other questions?
Dinesh,
Yes, yes,
uh,
Mohan.
can we actually clone a temporary? So yeah, of course, we exclusively we have to clone the temporary table that you said.
Correct.
But can we store it as a permanent table?
No,
So whether
not possible.
not possible. So temporary
Not
table has to be cloned again a temporary table only.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So that is one thing. Can you please again briefly explain the storage behind this cloning thing?
Yeah, sure, sure. We are going to discuss about the storage part. So
Oh,
in the
okay.
like a partition implementation, when it is coming to partition, right, you can understand clearly how the things is going to work. What will happen is in the back end, it is going to create partitions.
Yeah,
Everything it is going to be columnar storage. It will be in a file format in partitions level.
partitions.
What
Okay.
will happen is these partitions will be shared to the
Mhm.
another cloned object. So
Okay.
every time, so it will have a metadata. Every time it will pick it from there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
basically,
the
if the
concept here.
source table has been dropped, only the if the same partitions have been shared with another table, then the
Mm,
only metadata will be dropped from that table, pertains to that table. So not the
exactly,
storage. So
not the storage.
if it is not shared, if it drop the table, it'll drop metadata along with the storage itself,
Exactly,
right? Okay.
correct, correct understanding.
Okay. So yeah, can you just can we go back to that console and can we see the DAG created when we swap the tables?
Just a minute.
Yeah, sure.
Tell me.
When we execute this swap query, can we
Mm,
check
mm.
the? I think uh, we can see the DAG, right? What are the steps involved in that when we execute this one in the backend?
Oh,
Can we
that
look at this?
that is not not possible.
Okay.
Just a minute. Yeah, Rakesh, if the source is different, then the complete the stage it will be available in our uh, Snowflake itself, right?
No,
So it
no,
doesn't
Dinesh.
matter.
Dinesh, what I'm trying to say is like suppose
Mm,
I was working in a project where the source system was different. Like we used to
mhm.
daily bring the incremental data to the stage
Okay.
area,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So, but
mm,
since the source is a
mm,
different system, maybe
mm,
a Oracle database is there. Assume we
mm,
have a
mm.
source in Oracle
Understand,
database,
understand.
and that is system. So, like means how can we implement CDC there?
And understand
Means
your question. Now, the stage means nothing but where you are going to keep that stage area, nothing but a landing zone. Don't consider the stage means our stages, like named stages are like that. Stage is nothing but a landing
right.
zone. Okay, landing zone is nothing but your Snowflake tables itself, right? So once
Hmm.
it's come to the Snowflake tables, that you can consider on top of that particular table, you need to implement a stream. Got it,
No,
right?
but but
Mm,
we will not be able to implement this CDC na in that case, in that scenario, because we will not be able to capture the updates means DML operations what are being done in the objects if the
mm,
source
mm,
system is different, right?
correct.
Okay.
That is true. If any changes in the original database won't impact on the clone database. Good. Okay, fine. Yes, Shiva. So if you've done any changes on the original database, right, it is not going to impact on that. For example, here what we have done, so we have deleted some data on this particular table, cloned one, but it is not going to impact on the original one. The same way, if I add, like if I delete some records here, right? So it
Yeah.
is not going to impact any changes on this particular data. The data will be available here. So because it's
Mm.
already cloned. Okay.
Okay. So both are not dependent.
Both are not dependent. It's a independent after cloning.
Okay.
Dinesh, a clone object can be created from another cloned object. Is it possible?
Another clone object.
Yeah.
So it
So
means you are
now,
telling that now we are here, right? You mean to
yeah.
say that. So let's say come to this clone. This is your thing, right? This is a clone object, right? You are trying to clone another one, right? So this one, what happened? Again, it's created, right? So because it's available, new clone, where it is? So this one. Again, this one, if you observe the storage metrics for the new clone table, this particular table, you can able to see this is cloned from, so your this EMP1. But again,
Only
the storage will not be occupied. That's it. But you can able to do that. But there is no like use, right? So same copy you are making another time. That's it. Yeah. Any other questions?
So you asked to frame the naming conventions, right? I mean, in project, if you want to have a clone object. So now we did the database, correct? So database comes with a lot of tables. So how do you want to rename when you want to do it by one? Is that, see, that is the
No,
one
no,
name only.
no, we won't do that. So generally what will happen is in this particular situation, if you want to clone the complete like a database name, we will clone. Then we can understand this complete database, whatever it is available, we will give the database naming convention. That's it. So if you want to take individual, then we will go with a like a one by one. But when coming to database or schema level or database level, we will do the changes. For example, here by seeing that we understand that this is a clone one because of a naming convention, right? Whatever is available here, right? Based on that, we came to know. That's it. So another option is there. So DDL, get DDL option. So if you wanted to do it for individually, we can have a get DDL script. There we need to do it manually. That is a different concept. We will discuss that later. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, Dinesh. Um,
Yes, Manohar, tell me.
in usually how this clone will be used in the landscape level, like usually business prefers to have QA environment like which is similarly like production, right? So so in this case, how actually, so the database will be cloned with the production of or preparing the QA environment. Is it the case?
Yeah, the same thing. It's vice versa. For example, once the development is done, we have to test it, right? Once it is tested properly, then only we will move it with a production environment, right? The same thing. So if you wanted to exactly maintain the production implementations here, like for example, the links and then AWS locations and then storage integration objects and then pipes, whatever it may be. So everything will be available in the QA environment also. It's same replica of a production. Let's assume that, right? That is your like the scenario, right? What you are asking, trying to ask.
Yeah.
The
Instead
same
of
way, yeah, same replica, it will be available here also.
Okay, so we can create multiple environments, right? So
we can do that.
So we don't need to pay if I am actually using the Snowflake, then I can only pay for the production environment, and I will create multiple environments for free of cost.
Yeah, within account you can create. It's up to us. It's just a database naming convention difference, and then permissions and then access rights will be different, right? We can able to do it within one account. You can do anything, but sometimes due to security reasons, what they will do is, so they have to maintain separate account. If they are maintaining separate account, separate environment, then they have to pay for that also. Like this is our account, right? Like this account, you will have another account for production environment, then they have to pay for this one and then that one also. If they are maintaining everything within the same account, then no issues.
Okay, in what case actually we need to have different accounts,
Different accounts, it's security reasons, like some banking users, they will ask, we wanted to, no, we don't wanted to we wanted to maintain this particular production environment in separate region, and then we wanted to maintain in a separate like a private network, right? In that particular situations, they will maintain a separate one.
Okay. So then the copy of the environment will happen using data sharing in that case?
Yes, data sharing will come into the picture.
Okay. And another question here is,
yeah.
And another question here is, when we do the swapping, is there any prerequisite, like the properties of both the tables should be same?
Yes, almost. It should be like so when you are renaming or when you are like implementing this, so it should be the almost similar. Then only we can able to do that.
Right. So in this case, can I swap a cloned object to the permanent table? A
Cloned object to the permanent table. No, permanent table, it is not possible. We cannot do that.
We cannot swap it. So both should be same table type.
Yes.
And that's not possible for temporary. The swap will work for temporary.
Temporary, it will work. Yeah, temporary.
Okay.
It will.
Hey, Dinesh. So in this case, I think if the main table drops, then the clone object will have only the clone object will have the connection with the,
it will have a storage.
You said like
complete.
Storage.
Storage will be
to
transferred to the cloned one. Yeah.
So then it becomes the
it becomes the
main table, right?
Yes.
So
exactly.
we can see all the active
active
bytes
will be there.
Bytes will be the total bytes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And only the not let's say a couple of micro partitions have been changed after cloning. So those will not be shared with this data, right? With this.
No.
Okay.
It will not be shared. Yeah.
So when we drop that table, will those micro partitions be dropped, or it will be maintained? Because why I'm asking, because this clone table, we can also apply the same like time travel, everything for the clone table as well, right? So it will inherit everything from the main table. So in that case, if it needs that, it need to like go back to the time table at particular time. Those partitions should be available, right?
It will be available. Yes, it will be maintained.
It will be maintained.
It will be maintained in the back.
So if main table drops, no matter if the changes happen in the clone table or not, so everything intact. I mean,
Everything,
stays
yes,
there only. Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Good one. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
guys. If you don't
yeah,
have anything,
Dinesh,
Shiva, tell
one
me.
small question. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
See, as you said, like, generally you might have, observed different real-time projects in Snowflake, right?
Mm,
So you said generally we will maintain a separate accounts for production, non-production environments,
mm,
correct? So
correct.
production is only one, but non-production can be more than 2, 3 also.
Eh,
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
sometime.
Mm,
So
mm,
in that case, might be like, you might have observed some projects,
mm,
right? So
mm,
are
mm.
they using zero copy cloning, or they're persisting data in the different
Yes,
environments?
yes. They will use for the within the same account if they wanted to do. So they will use for zero copy cloning. And so most of the time, this one we will use it for a backup purpose. If you wanted to create a duplicate table, and then we wanted to keep it for a backup instead of creating another additional table, we will use the copy cloning. And
Okay,
within the same account, yeah, we can able to do that.
But in general, by default they'll use this zero copy cloning because they want to leverage it.
Yes, yes, correct.
Might be like, in one environment, might be in dev, they'll store the data, and the rest of the environments they'll make use of zero copy cloning. Is that the case?
Rest of the environments only in like a QA environment only, not into the production.
Okay, in QA they will store the
Yeah.
data, and in other environments of non-production, they will make use of this zero copy cloning.
Yes.
In general.
Yes. Correct. Yes. Yes.
So if it is not Snowflake, we generally we will be in impression that we have the data in all rest of the non-production
Correct.
environments also. But if it is a
Correct.
Snowflake, it obviously
Then
by default it is a zero
it is
copy
a
cloning.
one place. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm just wondering.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dinesh,
Do you have any?
ping the Google Drive link here in the chat once.
Yes. Yes. I'm doing that.
Hi, Dinesh. So once the clone is done, so apparently there is no basically data kind of relation between the main copy and the clone copy, which I understood. But is there any by default it is not there? But is there any way I can sync? For example, let's say I'm interested in only one table. So is there a mechanism behind the kind of a workaround or something where I could have some stream going on in the main data or database where I clone from, and using that stream somehow I copy the latest changes to the clone database. Is it possible?
It means specifically when you are cloning, you need to do like implementation of the stream on for specific table.
Right.
Is that the question?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to see is, let's say I've done the clone. Fine. I've done the clone on Thursday, and I'm working on that test environment. And on Monday, I realized that on Friday there was some data which I need now, but I've done something in the period of 2 days that I don't want to lose this work or data, but I want the Friday data also from the production or the main database.
Okay.
So is there a way I can sync at just one table or something like that between the master copy and to the clone copy?
No, there is no way. So only the thing is we have to create a another clone object on a master copy. Then we have to use that master copy. That's it.
Yeah, but then problem would be that whatever work
Correct.
I would have done after
Work
cloning.
it has.
Yeah.
Understand. So that will not be available.
I see.
Yeah.
Is there a cross-account storage sharing, something like that?
Yeah,
Or
that
can
is
we?
we will call it as a data replication that will be set up by like organization or account level. So when they are configuring, right, cross like a storage replications will be there. So that they will take care by default.
Okay. Yeah, that is where only the just to increase our reliability on our data only, right? But
And we are selecting the editions, right? By
Mhm.
default, like a business critical edition, if they have selected, then they are going to store the complete the replications, database replications. It will be available in almost 3 different regions at a same time. So that's why the Snowflake is promising us. So never worry about like the related to disaster recoveries and all.
Okay, so but we have to pay for all the storage.
Yes, exactly.
So we can I mean, while creating the enterprise accounts, probably we can choose that to replicate into 2 different regions instead of 3. Yeah, if we have like petabytes of data, then honestly we don't need to pay for all the
Yes,
storages, right? So one thing, and can we just send any particular table or something which may be in petabytes sometimes? Can we transfer that into a different account directly, or we
Yeah,
can
we can.
create a
Yeah,
table there?
that is possible. That is possible. You can able to do that.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Who is unable to access, right? So when you registered, maybe you have given email ID to the organizers, right? So try to access with the same email ID. Okay, so
It's the same.
then you can able to access.
I was able
So
to access a couple of days back, Dinesh. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So then you can like check the sign out once and then sign in, and then so try it once. If it is not, check with the organizer once, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, and happy New Year, guys. See
Yeah.
you on Monday.
Wish you the same.
Thank you.
Dinesh,
Thank you.
thank you all.
Thank you all. Yeah. Bye.